SMTD, my name is Sherry Lynn. I'm a registered dietitian, dancer, and a choreographer. I also graduated from SMTD in 2020 and got my MFA in dance. As a dancer and choreographer, I know what it's like to have all the highs and lows, wins and challenges, and especially the challenge of fueling your body so that you can perform at your best. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and specifically talking about how to fuel your body before training, class, and competitions or performances, and what to do during training or class. All right, so first we want to talk about perhaps what are some key missing ingredients. And as performers, we're driven, we're focused, but sometimes that also means not having time to cook, not having time to prepare meals, accidentally skipping meals. And what are some of the symptoms and consequences of that, of skipping meals and poor nutrition? Sometimes it can lead to more fatigue, leg cramps and heaviness, muscle cramps, decreased stamina, feeling sluggish, low energy, lack of focus. Sometimes it can mean we lose body mass and increase storage of body fat. It could mean poor recovery if we get injured, and even mood swings, and all these things leading to a decline in performance. So, what do we do? What can we do? Of course, getting balanced meals is really important, but there are also two areas that I see performers often forgetting, and that is a pre workout or pre training and during, what to do during training. All right. So, we're going to be talking about those two things today. First, pre activity recommendations. So, before we even participate or jump in on whatever activity you're doing, whether it's an instrument or dance or performing or theater, whatever it may be. We want to make sure we're planning ahead and developing an eating plan. Second, here's another, just a side tip. Stick to familiar foods when you have a performance. Try all new foods during training and day to day. And on performance day or competition day, you want to stick to foods that you know your body can digest well. All right. You also make sure you are planning ahead so that you don't prevent low blood sugar, which can cause fatigue and dizziness. And you want to make sure you're fueling your body enough so that it settles in the stomach before making sure there's enough time for digestion. 2 to 4 hours between a meal or at this before a start of a performance. All right. Making sure you give your body time to digest. And of course, as performers, we still get nervous, get queasy stomach, butterflies in our stomach, right? I don't know if you do, I still do, but that's just because we care a lot. We care a lot about our performance. It's important to try to still get something for breakfast in. So try a smoothie or something you know your body can digest easily. Typically, you want to choose foods that are lower in fat and fiber on those days because it takes more effort for our bodies to break down fat and fiber. So on performance days or on really intense training days, I opt for foods that are easier for my body to digest. All right. And last but not least, hydration. We're going to have a whole video on hydration, but hydrating early and often is going to be key for optimal performance. Here's a question I want to pose. Would you head out on a road trip on an empty tank? If you know you're going to go on a 1, 2, 3 hour drive and your fuel tank is almost at the E, what would you do in that situation? I hope you would fuel up, right? You would want to fuel up your fuel tank. Just like how we care for our cars, we need to care for our bodies in the same way. If we know that we're going to go out to take class, if we're going to go work, whatever it is, we want to make sure we're fueling our body properly so that we can really participate and engage in those activities fully. So before training, before class, before performance, what should you eat and what time? How much time do you have is the real question that would determine this. If you have 2 to 4 hours before performance or class or training, you want to have a balanced meal as best as possible, a moderate or hard intensity plate. What that means, a moderate plate is a balanced plate of carbohydrates, proteins, and your color, your non-starchy vegetables. And for a hard intensity plate, is actually half of your plate is carbohydrates. If you have 2+ hours of activity, intense activity, you want to have majority, at least half of what you're eating for meals to be coming from carbohydrate sources. That is your main fuel for your body and your brain. Again, 2 to 4 hours, if you have that time window, go ahead and have a balanced meal. If you only have 1 to 2 hours before performance or training, then you want to have a balanced snack. A balanced snack is typically a carbohydrate source and a protein source. And so, again, you still have some time for your body to break down the protein and still absorb the carbohydrates. So, you want to have a balanced snack. If you only have 1 hour, right, before training or before a performance, you want to have a carb-rich snack that's easy to digest. Typically, that means lower in fat, fiber, and protein. Okay. Again, when you're about to engage in a strenuous activity, you want to make sure you have time for your body to digest the food, and carbohydrates are easiest and quickest to digest. And then if you only have 30 minutes, you want fast fuel, all right? You want something that's not only easy to digest, but you can absorb quickly and utilize. And that's typically a fruit or a sports drink or electrolyte drink, something where you can get that sugar carbohydrate source quickly into your system and use. Let's dive a little deeper. So for 2 to 4 hours training days, you want to have a carb-rich meal. Again, moderate plate is a balance of protein, carbs, and color, or a hard intensity plate where you have half of your plate as carbohydrate sources. On competition or performance days, you want to opt for a lighter meal or fueling snack. Again, we talked about a fueling snack or balanced snack looks like pairing a carbohydrate source with or color with protein. So that could look like cereal with milk and fruit, nut butter, banana, and toast, avocado and egg with toast, granola, Greek yogurt, and fruit. So something that has both, right, protein and carbohydrates. Now, if you only have 36 minutes before training or performance, you want to aim for a high carb, low fat, low fiber, low protein snack. Why is this important? We want to top off our fuel tank so we have energy to go for longer, especially if you find yourself losing energy halfway through class or by the end of class, you're just exhausted. Having a quick carbohydrate snack before might be what you need to be able to maintain the high performance level throughout class or throughout your performance. All right. So again, you want to have low fat, fiber, and protein because it takes long for our bodies to digest during training. And during training, our body is less focused on digestion. And if we put too much load for energy into digestion, it might cause upset stomach. So to avoid that, quick source of carbohydrates, here are some examples: fig bars, apples, bananas, slices of bread, a bagel with a bit of cream cheese, yogurt and fruit, English muffin. So these are something that are quick and easy for our bodies to break down. What about during? If you're in the middle of an activity or a long rehearsal, how can you fuel your body so that you can sustain that activity? If you have a non-stop exercise or non-stop activity that's high intensity, and it's the 45-minute mark is typically when our body is utilizing all the fuel tank. So if your exercise is below 45 minutes, you don't need additional fuel, right? You can just have a post-workout snack or a post-workout meal. If your activity is more than 45 minutes and it's a nonstop activity, I highly encourage you to add in a fast carbohydrate-rich snack. All right. Again, why that 45-minute mark? That's typically when our bodies have utilized all the glucose or the energy in our cells, in our blood systems, and in our stored glycogen. So we want to be able to refuel that so we can maintain that high level of performance. Now, if you have a class that is 90 minutes and there's breaks in between, then you don't have to fuel within that 90 minutes. You can just fuel after the 90-minute class, okay? This 45-minute is for nonstop activity. If you have a class that's 90 minutes with breaks in between, go ahead and refuel after the 90-minute. All right, so that's everything for now for before, pre-training, and during training nutrition. That's going to really help you to get the extra push you need to have a high level of performance through training or performance day. All right, happy fueling.